Hi everyone. Are you a first year teacher and you're nervous about the behavior in your upcoming class? If so, this video is for you. Hi everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Marta with Fun in Third. How's everybody doing? I am so glad that you came tonight. So on the last video, I said that I would do a video on classroom management. Now I have my notes, so you see me looking down a couple of times because I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But um, classroom management is such a large umbrella that I feel that I don't think that I would do it any justice if I just do it all in one video. So I have after reviewing everything, I have decided to break it down into a three-part series. To give you a little bit of background, I am a third grade teacher. If you've been following me, you know I'm a third grade teacher, and this will be my third year of teaching. Now, though it's only my third year teaching in public school, well, I have 18 years teaching in the private sector, but it was in a different domain. So, though I'm just now teaching public school, I, in essence, have about 20 years experience in teaching. But this is only my third year working with elementary school students. So, with that in mind, I don't proclaim to be an expert at this. The only I'm doing this to just share my experiences in hopes that it's gonna help someone else. So, a little bit more background information. So, yes, I am a third grade teacher. I started out in fourth, and my first year of teaching, I had about I want to say 13 to 14 BIPs or BIP students in my class. And, you know, I had a partner, a work partner, because I only taught math and science. And my partner, she taught ELA. And so my partner was very sweet and she was very nice. But what we would notice is that the students would behave one way in my class and then go next door, and they were just all over the place, multiple fights, just students being very disrespectful. And of course, they were already behavior improvement plan students anyway, but it just seemed to exaggerate when they would go, for lack of better words, when they would go next door. Long story short, there was a lot of changes made, and what I noticed is that all of those changes affected the students. You know, when students are in an environment that is not consistent, it has an effect on them. It has an effect on their growth, and so fast forward to this past year, and I could totally see the difference. I received a great partner. We were able to work together to formulate our expectations and our procedures and guidelines. We worked together. If there was a problem in her class, I supported her fully. If there was a problem in my class, she supported me fully. And that really made a lot of difference. In addition to just having full structure, systems, procedures, and expectations in the class in both classrooms. Though we did work together really well, we did receive a few placements in our class. One of them being like the most notorious third grader last year. And I would say this: by the time he left my class and her class, he was no longer the most notorious third grader. So, what I want to share is my personal experiences. I am by no means saying that I am an expert. I just want to share how I do things in hopes that some of my tips may help the next person. The way that I'm going to break down the videos is I'm going to divide it into three different videos. The first one, I want to talk about classroom rules, expectations, and procedures. And then in the second video, I'm going to talk about types of classroom management systems that you can implement. And then in the third video, I want to talk about building relationships, because that is the most important part of classroom management overall. You can have the worst kid in the world, and if you establish a relationship with that kid, it makes all the difference. And you can have the best rules in the world, the best expectations and procedures in the world, but if a kid is not feeling it and they don't have a relationship with you, a lot of times if they have no locus of control or intrinsic motivation, they are not going to perform or grow with you. So relationship is very, very important. So those are the three videos that I'm going to do. So this first video, I want to talk about, I want to start basic, which is classroom rules, expectations, and procedures. Just before we even start talking about the rules, I kind of want to just give you a little bit of history of exactly where I work. I work in a at a tier 1 school, and I work in an urban area where we've experienced lots of difficulty with students and behavior. As a surroundings do not dictate your present, does not dictate your future. And I am also, myself and my partner, we believe that we don't care what is going on in the outside of the room or in the outside of the school. But when you step into our classroom, it's totally different. And um, you will learn and you will grow. Let's talk about rules, expectations, and procedures. First, your rules are your foundation of your class. Now, everybody does it differently. This is just the way that I do it. So if you can take something from this and maybe tweak it and make it your own, feel free to do so. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm just sharing with you what worked for me. So, um, first, in my classroom, the rules are the foundation of my classroom. Okay, my rules are posted as soon as the student hit the door. The first thing that they see on my whiteboard are the rules of the class. The rules are my non-negotiables, and I believe that rules, they do not have to be complicated. I only have five. I just have five classroom rules, and I'm gonna show a picture of them somewhere in here, or I'll just insert it in. But the rules are the foundation of my class. So, oh, and also in the picture, just excuse the picture. We were celebrating the end of Star, so I just had to crop a lot of my kids out because I just want that. But that's the only picture that I had. Your rules are non-negotiable. They're posted and gone over on day 1 of school. Okay. There's a difference between rules and procedures. Procedures are the way that you like your classroom to run. Um, with procedures, it doesn't happen overnight. Even with kids obeying rules, it does not happen overnight. What it takes is consistency, which means that starting on day 1, if you see a person that is not following the rules, not following the expectation, it has to be addressed from day 1. If it's not addressed, then students might feel like, oh, I can get away with that, so let me just do something else, and then they'll do something else, and then they'll do something else, and just see how far they can go. So you have your rules down, and so your rules, like I said, are your non-negotiables of your class. You make this clear on day 1, and so let's move on to procedures. Procedures are the way that you like your classroom ran. So an example of a procedure. For example, I like my students to push their chairs under the desk every time they sit down, and then get back up to line up, I expect them to push the chairs under the desk when they get up to line up. That's one of my procedures. That's a system in my class. So on day one, or doing in the entire first week of school, and especially on day one, we're going to practice it. I'm going to model how it should be done, and then I'm going to have one of them to model how it should be done, and then after that, we're going to model how it should not be done. Okay, so that's one example. Another procedure or system in my classroom is um, hmm, I call students up by groups to line up. Okay. There's a way that it should, that I like it, and there's a way that I don't like it. And so I am going to model that behavior on day one. So I'm going to show them how I like it done. And then I'm going to have them to show me, I'm going to have ask a group to volunteer to get up and do it. And then after that, then I'm going to have a group to volunteer how it shouldn't be done. And normally, it when you're doing classroom rules and expectations in the first week of school, it doesn't have to be heavy. You know, when we doing this, a lot of times we get a lot of the kids get a lot of laughs out of it, especially when they demonstrate how it should not be. You don't have to make it heavy. It don't have to be like drill sergeant. It could be, you can make it fun. Um, so those are examples of systems and procedures. So if you what you put into it is what you get out of it. How can you expect a kid to know what you like if you don't know what you like? And if you haven't expressed to them what you like. So what my suggestion is, especially for, I know all of the older teachers that's been doing this for years and years, know the game and know what to do. But this is, just some knowledge from a third year teacher to a brand new teacher on some things that they can do to keep management in check. But what my suggestion is to write everything down. Write everything down in your planner. Get your planner out and write a checklist of all your procedures. How you want them, from them lining up at the door, from when they enter the classroom, all the way until when they're dismissed out of your room. How they line up to go to specials, how they line up to go to lunch, how they put their backpacks up, how they put their lunches up, how does pencil sharpening go. Everything has a system. Every single thing has a system and the way that you want it. And what you're basically doing is training them on how things are to flow in your room. And it's going to take consistency. It's going to take you monitoring and noticing when things are not being done correctly. And it's going to take, it's not going to be done in the first week. It's going to take some time. But the key to it, like I said, is consistency. And if you're consistent, and if you have these things laid out and mapped out ahead of time, it helps. I promise you, after a few months, you'll start to see progress. Really, really, in my classroom, after the first week, I start to see progress because you have to be firm with it. You don't have to be a drill sergeant, but you have to be firm. Let's talk about expectations. So in my classroom, on the first day of school, um, after we go over the rules and after we go over systems, then the very next thing that I go over or that we do is expectations. With expectations, we create an anchor chart. And I do a big anchor chart, and then on the anchor chart I give the students an opportunity to say what their expectations of each other are. And so some examples of that would be: don't give up on learning, encourage each other. I've had a student to put down have fun. So those are things that they normally put down. But I normally require each student to write an expectation on the anchor chart and then sign it. They all sign it, and with them signing it, this is kind of like our class constitution that we adhere to during class. When the students are involved in creating their expectations and guidelines, when they are become involved in it, then it kind of helps them to remember it more and to actually do it more. So those are some quick things that I wanted to share tonight about rules, expectations, and procedures. Let me know in the comments some things if you feel like I left out something, or if it's some things that you feel like you want to add. Leave them in the comments and let me know what you think. Um, in the next video, I am going to talk about types of management systems, because there are clip charts. There are, it's a lot of, we want kids to have intrinsic motivation, but a lot of times, we use extrinsic in order to get them to keep our classroom going. So I'm going to talk about those type of things. I'm going to talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic, and um, types of management systems in part 2 of this series. And then in part 3, we're going to start going to behavior and relationships and building relationships with students, things that I feel like I could work on that could be better, upon my own reflection. We're going to talk about locus of control, all of those things. We're going to talk about environment. All of those things have a part to play in classroom management. So if you're interested in that, keep on watching. Let me know your comments, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.